They say walk in your truth and not in your shadows. They also tell you you're too much, making you feel like a burden, but they always want you to speak up for what isn't spoken. Unspoken truth, hiding behind an unspoken poet, unspoken stories, never get told by unspoken words.
Yo, what's good? It's your girl Becky the Poet here. Welcome to the Unspoken Words podcast. We have a poet here. It's actually her birthday, but by the time you hear this, her birthday will be all over with. But it's her birthday month, so it doesn't even matter, you guys. Go ahead and show her some love. Poet, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is R.Sen the Poet. I'm a New Jersey-based spoken word artist.
Nice. So on your Instagram, you also go by do you also have your first name out there?
Yeah, so, I mean, mostly everywhere, like my stage name is R.Sen, but I also put Rohana in there because most of the times, anytime anyone follows me, I try to make friends with them, and so eventually my friends know me by my real name, so.
She says I try to make friends with them. Girl, you have lots of friends. I see you doing Instagram Live with Tyran.
Dude, yes, Godzink.
Yes, Godzink.
He's my favorite. I love that guy.
Well, I'm glad you're putting yourself out here within the poetry world, you know. And I really thought you lived in Dallas for a very, very, very long time. And I was like, yeah, she's not here in Dallas. She's like, no, I'm in a whole different state. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and I was like, that was funny when you said that. I'm like, oh, yeah, no.
So I know you're pretty lit right now, but can you do us a poem? If no,
sure,
it's okay. If no, it's okay. But I understand the circumstances.
Well, I mean, I would have. I'm trying to think because I have like a book that's also out. So there's in the book I have one that is I use in the beginning of my healing section where it's I'm either as warm as the sun blazing or as cold as the winter storm. Choose your season. And that's the whole poem.
Okay. Is it like I just got a lecture on what a haiku was. Is it even close to a haiku? Is it 17 syllables?
I mean, to be honest with you, I wouldn't be able to tell you if it was a haiku. It's a short poem.
Yeah.
Haikus have I think it's like a 4/6/4 like rhythm to them, and I'm pretty freeform, so like.
No, I was just talking about how free verse poetry is more popular now than it is with any things we learned in school.
That's true.
So.
And like for me, like poetry. Oh, I'm sorry.
No. Go. I was gonna have you introduce yourself and then go ahead and tell me what poetry is to you.
Oh, okay. So I was gonna say poetry for me has always just been like therapy, honestly. Like, I started writing when I was like 16, and I didn't know it was poetry. I call myself an accidental poet.
Accidental poet. I like that.
Because like I didn't know it was poetry until my teacher, of course, she kind of maybe took my journal, whatever. But and then she was like, "Wait, you're actually like a good poet." And I'm like, "Is that what I'm doing? I didn't know that was what I was doing."
I was just writing my shit, bruh.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to get out some feelings, but cool. And so then I just started. I started recently accepting that I'm a poet because I have a poetry book out, and like, and that's really the reason why I'm like, okay, I guess I'm a poet now. But still, it takes me a long time to be like, yeah, I'm a poet. I'm a poet.
No, and honestly, it's hard to distinguish that because sometimes, like I have a friend who he's not a poet. He just writes his expressions. You know, he just writes his emotions and feelings. He's just expressing himself, but he doesn't call him a poet at all. You know, so I understand. Sometimes the word poet is becoming very, very, very like used a lot. You know. So I know people are just like, I'm a poet, but it's like, you know, you could be a writer, you could be an author. So there's different levels to, I guess, being a fine arts performer or anything like that, you know. But if you write poetry, you're a poet. That's just what it is. You know, there's no hard lines of you're a poet. because blah blah blah. Like, no, it is. If you write poetry, you're a poet. Like, it is what it is. Like, we're not gonna make it complicated.
I mean, it's true. Yeah, it's true. But like, it's like, I don't know why. Like, okay, this might be just be me being like who I am as a person. But like, prior to getting into the performing world of poetry and everything, I always pictured like, poets being like these stiff people who only wear all black turtlenecks and have like monocles. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm so not that at all.
Yeah, and that's fine. I'm not like that either. I'm only like that in the wintertime because the only thing that looks nice on me is the only way I know how to dress is with turtlenecks and some nice pants. That's all I know how to do.
Turtlenecks are sweet though. You know what?
Yeah, but that's the only time I'm a poet. I feel like I'm a true poet when I'm wearing a black turtleneck and I'm like, snaps.
Nice. Do you also wear the monocle? Please tell me you wear.
No, but now I'm gonna add that to my wardrobe now.
Yes, perfect.
So I like to start this episode with something positive. I know it's your birthday. Go ahead and give us something positive, either a positive affirmation or anything. But I'm gonna go ahead and go first. So my positive affirmation for this week is I will not worry about things I can't control. So R.Sen, go ahead and give us your positive affirmation.
I would say focus on your best and ignore the rest.
I like it. So it's your birthday. You're turning up. So I know you're feeling good today, but lately, how have you been feeling, and has your heart been heavy for any kind of reason at all?
I don't know if you've been seeing my Instagram recently, but I have been going through a little bit of drama, and I'm gonna be honest. This is probably too much information, but I'm sharing it anyway because whatever, we're friends, okay? And I'm a trauma survivor of several, like starting from 2015. I've had like back-to-back severe trauma things, including an assault and being in an abusive relationship. And then recently, I got into just like, it's actually silly drama in comparison, but it triggered something within me which has been hard to like recover from. But like, today's my birthday. My plan is like, I went out to eat brunch. I had a bunch of cake. Literally, I'm on a cake high right now. and I'm gonna go home and go in my hammock and snuggle my dog, and it's gonna be great. And like, it's just like, I needed to get into
love the vibes there.
Yeah, just like mini vacation without having to spend a lot of money to do it.
So you said, so I know you posted about being an assault victim and stuff like that, and dealing with abusive relationships. How have you been able to handle that lately?
Therapy is a great thing. Yeah. I'm a huge advocate for therapy. I'm a huge advocate for journaling. I love journaling. These are all like things that I use, and also apparently social media, which is not the way to go. Don't publicize your trauma. That's especially people who are trying to like be performers and stuff like that. Don't publicize your trauma, because all that does is allow people who want people to be miserable to fuel you more. Don't do it. You don't want that.
That's funny that you say that. Go right ahead. You said you were learning. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I can rant forever. Just like tell me, Rohana, like R.Sen, like. Yeah. But yeah, what I'm learning is like, I've never been in a position like, you see, my following count is like crazy high. I've never had that. Like, never been in a position to have that, and so I'm learning now that there are people who just like are watching your page, and this is probably true for anyone. There are people who are just watching for your downfall. So you really need to learn to protect your heart.
So you're watching my page to watch for my downfall? I'm just kidding.
Huh?
I said, are you watching my page to watch for my downfall?
How'd you know? How'd you know I was hinting? What? Did I just give myself away?
I think you did. I'm just kidding.
Oh shoot. Okay. Nice chat. Goodbye.
No, I do agree. Sometimes when we're struggling in life, once you open yourself on social media, people have a way to targeting your mind, and also not intentionally, but they'll post things be like, and that kind of will target your heart, and you're just like, damn, they're targeting me, But that's just what happens when you open yourself up to the public eye, and that's why I was just discussing this about how I know people who follow me on Instagram, they know me for being funny, goofy, and probably drunk all the time. but they don't know the side of me of being depressed, sad, and going through things in life. I've explained to my close friends that this is the toughest loss I've ever had to deal with, you know? So, like,
Sorry.
no, it's all good. Don't worry about that. But I've openly announced it. I've openly promote, like, my loss is, like, very tough, you know? And there are some people in my life who wondering why I posted. There's some people in my life who wonder why I say the things that I do or I do the things I do. But at the end of the day, like, I don't have to explain myself to anybody because how I grieve is how I grieve, you know? But there are some people who are watching and they just post stuff like, you know, not intentionally communicating with me, but you can kind of feel like, damn, I feel targeted as hell. You know? But I will say this, R.Sen, I feel like at the end of the day, there are some people who's watching for your downfall, but at the same time, there's people who are watching to help you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And like, I've always thought that being vulnerable and being open about like what you're going through is actually a very empowering move. And that's always, for me, I find it empowering in general. But like, I'm learning that it's not, don't be so vulnerable.
Oh, no. Like, there is a poet who talks about, Alicia Harris. She talks about how she was teaching a class, and some things that are that we go through in life doesn't have to be a poem, or at least a performing poem. You know, there's some things in our life that we shouldn't always have too many trauma poems. Yet we do, but if you get into the marketing world of poetry, trauma poems can be the only thing that gets you to winning that prize, and it's it's kind of very unsettling sometimes to hear that.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, for me, that's also like something that like I don't understand. This is kind of why I'm gonna be in a slam, but like let's ignore that. but this is kind of why I don't like participating in too many slams, because you'll notice that the people who go forward, yes, it's beautiful that you're vulnerable, and you should always be vulnerable, like, and you should find power in that. But it's like only those pieces that tend to do well, and it's like, man, but there are other aspects to people besides their sadness and their like bleeding souls and all that, you know?
And I totally agree. One of my friends, he's a music artist. He was like, do not ever invite me to any of your poetry showcases because they're all fucking sad. And I'm like, thanks, man. I'll notate that. But it made me think after a long time that sometimes poetry needs to be altered. And sometimes I do need to write about the comedic things in life, or I need to write about the things that are happy in life, because not 24/7 of my life is sad. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's a challenge for poets to write outside of sadness, outside of trauma, outside of drama, outside of all the other stuff, because at the end of the day, like, that's what is easy to write. And it's like kind of like the saying, like, it's so easy to write about negativity, like to talk about things that are negative than it is to talk about things that are positive, you know?
Yeah, like for me, like I used to use my poems. Yeah, exactly. Like I used to use my poems to get my feelings out, but now I try to like be a voice for the voiceless. So I write a lot about I'm also an activist. I like write a lot of like empowering, like I have a visual coming out that I'm super excited about, like later on today, August 15th. And it's called Lioness, and it's about like women's empowering. And I also have one that's on like race, like called Tinted, that come out. Like I like to write about things that embrace like show like social issues, like what am I trying to say? I don't know. Show social issues, but also show you how you can fix them. Like, you know, like fix it. Like you could, hey, I have this going on, but I will show you there's a power in my pain. Like pain is a beautiful thing. Pain can make you healthy. Like things like that. You know, you can still talk about your trauma and be positive at the same time. I feel that's like my.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at my video guy. He's choking over here on some daiquiris. That's why I was like, oh God, you okay, Dennis? But what I was saying,
are you okay, friend?
He's okay. He's good. But what I was saying is, I love that you're a poet activist, because, I mean, during these times, it's needed, you know, because sometimes people don't know the roots of different things in this world, you know, and especially like there's different kind of activists who use poetry as their platform, but there's different cultures as well too. And I don't think not a lot of people understand like Asian culture, like the Hispanic culture, the Indian culture, just anything overall, you know, because I have a poet. She's really down to earth, where she talks about the land of her people and stuff like that. And I applaud her because it gives poetry a different genre, a different branch, and it also makes it universal, you know. I've listened to poets who are Asian who talk about how their family were immigrated here and stuff like that, and like, you know, that's the same thing that showcases in my family, but I just don't know how to write about that, you know. And I'm happy to have other people write for me the traumas that their family's going through, and I'm able to relate to that. So I appreciate you being a activist poet, because we need different kinds of poets. We need the comedic ones. We need the ones who are into trauma, or who have trauma stuff, who are activists, who are speaking for other cultures and whatnot, and just speaking the truth. So I appreciate that a lot.
Thank you. I really, and you know what? I appreciate you too. Like I love that I can, like, you're a very personal like, so, you know, just like I connect to you because you're very personal, and that's why I was like, yes, I definitely want to do that.
Yeah.
And like, and I think that's important too, like to be able to connect to people through what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's very important. This girl keeps calling me, and I'm gonna make her stop calling me. All right, sorry. I hope I didn't just get muted. She called me 3 times. I've declined them 3 times.
No, you're good. Just tell her you got 5 more minutes. You're good.
Okay. I'm sorry about that. Like, yeah. I'm like, bro, like, you see me decline this call, you can call it. But, yeah, so, and like I said, like, I write, nowadays I'm trying to get into more mental health stuff, because mental health has, like, always been something that's close to my heart. But it's hard for me to speak on it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think I still have that, like I was saying, like, I'm reaching that point where I'm like, protect your heart. But you know what? Sometimes opening up what you're talking about allows other people to find the bravery to speak about what they are going through, and allows people to, like, get the release that they need. So, like, I think poetry is underrated, honestly, in terms of creators.
It's underrated, and commercials rather use people who have nice voices to do their poems. Yeah. I mean, their commercials instead of real ass poets.
I agree.
I once had to audition for a poem for this big company, but because I didn't know how to change my voice and stuff like that, I didn't get the part. And so I understand how poetry is very underrated.
It really is, and like, it's actually such a powerful tool. And like, even rap is probably the only poetry that is, like, mainstream, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rap is poetry, right? So, like, people don't realize that.
Hey, be careful when you say that. You have people who don't agree with that.
All right, let's talk. Let's have a discussion about it.
Hey, well,
rap is rhythm and poetry. That's what it stands for.
I'll tell you this. I'll bring you back in this season, and we'll talk about poetry and rap, okay? And then, but I will say this. Before you go, I do want you to leave the audience with an advice about how being an activist poet, what can they do to change the world one day at a time?
Okay, I'll give you, so, what can you do? If you have something to say, as a poet, as a person, say it, because you'll never know how many people agree with what you say and what kind of difference it makes. That's just a general statement. Sounds cliche as hell, but I mean it. But as a poet, if you're trying to get into, like, activism, the best thing you could do is think about what you're most passionate about and just start writing. Like, poetry is just a matter of getting whatever is in your heart as an expression onto a piece of paper or typing it up, right? I personally am a journal person, so I write everything down in a journal. So as soon as you do that, then you've said something, whatever you had in your mind that you've been repressing, you've just said it to someone, technically, right?
Yeah.
And that's the first step. And then from there, you can like edit it to how you want it to sound, and you put it out into the world, like as a video, even as like a Instagram post, typed Instagram post. And then you see how it goes. And as people start listening to you and agreeing with you, you get, like, the support that you need, and that can make a huge difference, because you've created a platform and a following and a movement, and from that movement the next step is you can create your own nonprofit if you want to, or join other nonprofits that agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
And that's how activism works.
Well, R.Sen, I think you gave great advice. I was just thinking about this the whole minute we've been talking. I'm gonna bring you back for a part 2 during this season because you have so much to say, and I really appreciate your energy, and I feel like the listeners need more of that. You know what I'm saying? And
I appreciate you.
I want to go ahead and drop your social media one time before we close out.
Sure. You guys can follow me at Instagram at R.Sen the Poet.
Also, happy birthday, happy belated birthday if they listen to this 2 weeks later. Happy birthday month, happy everything. I hope you have blessings and all your wishes or whatever you wish for on your birthday cake come true. Relax in your hammock, and I hope you heal from anything that's hurting you or anything that's in your life that's causing you trauma or anything. And honestly, if you need to ear anything, just hit me up on DM, and we can go ahead and talk about it then. All right.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for having it. It's really been an honor and a pleasure.
Oh, and get home safe. Take pictures with you in the hammock and the dog, and post it. I would love to see that.
Yes, I'll definitely send you that.
All right. Well, have a good evening. Happy birthday.
You too. Thank you. Take care.
If you haven't yet, please subscribe to my YouTube at Becky the Poet, and then follow me on Instagram, Becky the Poet, and the podcast, Unspoken Words Podcast. All right, you guys. Love y'all.